Former Tennessee quarterback Nico Iamaleava is now a UCLA Bruin.
Okay.
UCLA. Fight.
I didn't know the.
If Jess hears that, she's going to go crazy.
Yeah, I didn't know their chant.
I think it's something like this.
I think that's right.
UCLA. UCLA. Fight. I think it's something like that.
I got you.
You know, I've been on the campus.
I'm going to say downgrade.
Feels like it.
And I'm a Tennessee hater, but.
As a Tennessee hater, Tennessee is, I don't know if Tennessee's winning this actually, because Tennessee might look up and just go, man, we're a quarterback away from being good.
Oh, yeah, right.
So Tennessee might not win this, but in terms of, you're going to take a stand with us. For people who don't know the backstory, he was the quarterback at Tennessee. Mm-hmm. I feel it necessary to catch everybody up in the briefest way possible. He was the quarterback at Tennessee. He was probably not as good as you would like for him to be if you're paying him $2-point-something million, but he was a quality quarterback that led them to a good season last season. Mm-hmm. He was expected to come back and be the starting quarterback. The week of the spring game, he starts asking for more money. Tennessee says, what? He skips a practice, meetings, ain't taking calls, ain't texting nobody, ain't receiving texts. He just goes dark on him. Next thing you know, he's like, you don't give me some money, more money, I'm out of here. They said, well, then you got to go, all right? And he entered the transfer portal. And very quickly, it became clear, man, whatever market he thought was out there for him is not there. Mm-hmm. Reportedly, he wanted $4 million because somebody else got $4 million somewhere else. And if they can get that, then maybe that's what I'm worth. And he didn't seem to check it all out very well. So he's out there in the transfer portal. Tennessee has already told you, this ain't a revolving door, buddy. You walked out. Just keep on walking. There ain't no turning around. And other programs were like, we're interested in you playing quarterback for us, but we don't have $4 million to give you, or $3 million, or $2.5 million. Fast forward to the most recent reporting from SI.com. They do think he's going to get around $2 million from UCLA. Mm-hmm. But not quite the 2.2, 2.4 that he was getting from Tennessee. And either way, in California, that money's going to be taxed in a way different way than it is in Tennessee.
Yeah, good point.
So he will undeniably make less money playing football this season than he would have made had he just shut up and stayed in Knoxville. And he will also probably be playing for a worse team. So this is the definition of hustling backwards. You took a stand with your, for lack of a better word, employer, and told them if they don't do A, you're going to do B. They said, we ain't doing A, so then you went and did B, and now fast forward to April 21st, 2025, and you're probably going to bring home less money to play for a worse football team in the year 2025. That's a mistake.
It's definitely a mistake, and I think, too, it depends on what matters to certain people and everything like that, but, like, again, I said I was a Tennessee hater, but I will never sit here and pretend like they don't have a massive fan base that cares about that team so much and are at every game. That thing's always sold out, massive crowds. The fans care so much about those players. I don't know if you've watched a UCLA football game since they joined the Big Ten. Yeah. It's desolate.
Sure.
Like, it is not the same experience.
Their head coach left to go be an offensive coordinator for another Big Ten school.
Yeah.
All right? That's just...
So, like, if that's what matters, because I don't know if he projects to be an NFL quarterback, like, if that kind of stuff matters to you, well, you clearly downgraded. Like, You're not going to have the same game day experiences you would have at Tennessee.
Now, just to circle this back to Memphis, there's a somewhat similar situation unfolding right now on the basketball side. I don't know if you saw the report this morning from Jeff Goodman, but he said the market for PJ Haggerty has not emerged the way PJ Haggerty might have wanted because reportedly PJ is making it known to possible suitors he wants $4 million and he wants to play point guard. Almost nobody wants to give him $4 million. In fact, I think you can maybe say nobody wants to give him $4 million, mm-hmm. and especially not if he's demanding on playing point guard. You're a scorer. Yeah. You're a little scorer. That's why you're not in mock drafts, because you're a little scorer.
Yeah, this team was at their best when Tyrese Hunter was playing point guard.
Of course.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. I'm going to get into the transfer portal, and I'm going to make two demands. I want this much money. As soon as you say that, a good percentage of the people who are maybe interested in you are no longer interested in you. Let's just say, for the sake of the conversation, there's 20 schools that can say to themselves, we would love to have PJ Haggerty, and we think we can get him. Let's just That number might be 5. It might be 30. For the sake of what we're doing right now, let's make it 20. There's 20 schools that say, man, if PJ Haggerty ever got in the transfer portal, I'd love to get somebody like him. And we think we could get it done. Once you say it'll take $4 million of those 20, like 15 of them are out. You just eliminated them.
Right.
They're just like, well, okay, I guess we're out of this. All right, now you got 5 possible suitors left. Once you then add on, and I need to play point guard primarily, well, then you might eliminate the other 5. 4 of them already got their point guards, and the other one doesn't want you playing it, especially not at $4 million. I don't know why you're making all these demands. You know what I would do if I'm PJ Haggerty? I'm in the transfer portal. Text me your offers.
Yeah. I don't understand.
It's the same thing like you start. This is anything in life.
I mean, I guess I understand it from his perspective in the sense that the only way you're going to project as a pro is by playing point guard because of your size.
Guess what? If I'm a coach of a transfer portal team, you know what I'm saying? Buddy, I ain't trying to get you to the NBA. I'm trying to win college basketball games next year.
That's what the $4 million would be for.
Yeah, like,
right?
I'm gonna pay you to play the position I need you to play, and if you don't want to take my money to play the position I want you to play, buddy, you can go play point guard somewhere else. You might be a $3 million scoring guard. You ain't a $3 million point guard. And either way, even if you might become that, I ain't paying that price. That ain't what I want you for. It's just, I don't know why you start putting demands out there. I wouldn't have said a word. Same thing, I don't know, in any negotiation. So what would it take to get this done? What would it take to get this done? Speaking engagements. I get this stuff sometimes. So, GP, we need you to show up and speak, and could you do an hour and then a Q&A? And yeah. So what does that, something like that cost? Just, I don't get involved in that. My agent, you know them, y'all talk, figure it out. You make an offer. You tell us what you got to spend, and we'll see if it's worth our time. That's what I would do if I were PJ Haggerty.
Agreed. I'm
I'm available as a college basketball player for next season. Text me your offers. I'm not making any demands on you. This is where you start to push it a little too far.
Yes.
Imagine 2 years ago telling PJ Haggerty he could maybe make $2 million just playing college basketball. I assume he would have been thrilled with that. But then you have a little success, you get caught up in your head about what you think's out there for you. Now it's like, I need $4 million and promises on what position I'll play.
Yeah.
Whoa, buddy, you better calm down. Because there are going to be a lot of people to tell you, we like you at 2, but we don't like you at 4. We like you playing the 2, but not the 1. But if your demands are, you got to play point guard, paying $4 million, you ready for this? I don't think there's anybody who's going to pay him $4 million to play point guard. Nobody. I don't think. What he's reportedly asking for, I don't think exists. So the biggest difference between him and Nico here is that I think Penny accurately, properly, intelligently would be much slower to close that door. Once Nico made his demand with Tennessee, Josh Heupel said, no, we're done here. Go. We're done. Don't come back. Took a stand and very publicly said nobody is bigger than the block T, including myself. We don't operate like this. We'll take care of our players, but we're not going to be held hostage the day before a spring game. If you don't give me more money now, I'm leaving. Then leave. Man, we don't want to run our program this way. That is one way to do it, and I believe that's the right way for Tennessee to do it. I don't think that would be the smart thing for Penny to do. Penny's in a different spot. If PJ Haggerty finds out the market for him doesn't exist the way he thought it was and decides, hey, maybe I should just go back to Memphis for a raise, not to $4 million, but for more than I made last season, but something Memphis can manage. If he wants to do that, if I'm Penny, I'm leaving that door open for that.
Yeah.
This is different than the Tennessee thing, I think. So it could unfold differently, but that's the thing about, I've seen it with multiple players at this point. You're reading the internet and you don't have great representation and you get an idea about what's out there for you that just is not real. It's very easy for somebody from On3 Sports to tweet, based on my calculations, PJ Haggerty is worth $3.2 million in the transfer portal. But that's just somebody from On3 Sports tweeting that. What does that even mean? What is your calculus? You don't have copies of these contracts. That is one of my big issues with the way some of this stuff gets reported. There are people out there who present themselves as legitimate reporters, and they say things like, and I have a database that creates the value connected to this player, and player X is now worth. That's all nonsense. You don't know what player X is worth. You know who decides what player X is worth? Nate Oates and Bill Self and John Calipari and Mark Pope. That's who decides what they're worth, not you and your calculations. And your calculation can't even possibly be accurate because you don't have all the contracts. You have no idea what Cooper Flagg made this year. None. It's never been talked about. Duke intentionally does not talk about it. When you see some of these other programs like Miami, we paid $1 million for this guy. And then like Kansas State, we paid $2 million for this guy. Like some programs like to publicize it and highlight it because they think it presents their program as like this big boy program that's got all this money, and perhaps they're right. But I'm just telling you, it's not the way Duke does it. So how are you calculating the NIL market for college basketball players when you quite literally don't even know what the Wooden Award winner made last season? You don't know what you're talking about. You're guessing. But if you're Nico or PJ, it's very easy to get caught up in that stuff. Man, the whole internet says I'm worth $3 million. I'll ask for $4 million. And I'll play point guard.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if I'm a college basketball coach, once upon a time, I might tell you or even allow you to play point guard if that's what I had to do to get you. But now I'm giving you the money to get you. I ain't going to promise you anything. Here's $4 million, $3 million, $2 million. You won't come play with me. But once you're on campus, you're playing where I want you to play. You're not a $4 million point guard at the collegiate level. I don't think he's going to get that. So it's just everybody's learning as they go. And this is also new. Some mistakes are being made. In Nico's case, it looks like a real mistake. He left money on the table. He's going to get taxed like crazy in California and leave money on the table. PJ hasn't really made a mistake yet. He can, I think, come back to Memphis, and like that still exists. I hope it does. It should. So there's no mistake made yet, other than he might just have a inaccurate idea of what his actual market value is. He's a great college basketball player, but you start telling people, I need $4 million and a guarantee on what position I'm going to be playing. It moves a lot of people out of the conversation, and that appears what might be happening with him. One last thing on all of this, and then we'll move on. Because I do think this is it's a byproduct of the system we're now operating in that I don't love. It's also merely a byproduct of the NCAA trying to enforce illegal laws for decades. And this is why we're here. If you're a fan of college athletics and you're disgruntled with the way things are going now and the chaotic nature of everything and the transactional relationships that exist, I hear you. I understand. But just hope you understand this is the NCAA's fault. They could have fixed this a long time ago. People were telling them to fix this a long time ago. Judges were telling them to fix this a long time ago. But they wouldn't. They kept trying to stand behind laws that were illegal and that got killed in the courts every time they were in the courts. And so now they don't have rules to enforce, or they're scared to enforce them because they'll get sued again. So this chaotic nature of college athletics was created by the NCAA. Don't blame the players. I don't blame the players. But I can also acknowledge I don't like everything that goes on with it. And what just happened at UCLA is among the things that I think is unfortunate. Here's what I mean. You're a high school quarterback prospect. UCLA is recruiting you. You're looking at their depth chart, and they're telling you you're going to be whatever you're going to be. You sign there because you're comfortable with it. You go through spring. Maybe they bring in another transfer guy in January. Because there's a transfer quarterback in the portal. He says, and I don't want to make this just about UCLA. This could happen anywhere. But you get in the transfer portal in December, January as a football player. You transfer to UCLA because you feel like that's a place where you got a starting spot. And then they come in on Easter weekend after spring practice. I've been here now for 4 or 5 months. And just on Easter weekend, you just recruited over my head. On Easter weekend. Like I've been here for months. I've been committed to you for a year. And this late in the process, I had a basketball coach tell me a few years ago there was a pretty high-profile guard who became available like late in the summer, entered the transfer portal. It was July. And the way I remember it is because we were at Peach Jam and I was having this conversation with this coach at Peach Jam. And I said, hey, I heard you might try to get involved with this transfer. Like an all-conference level guy. Just got into the portal very late, became available. And the coach said, we would. Normally, I'd love to coach him. He would help us win. He might be better than either one of my guards. Individually, he might be better than either one of my guards. But I got a top 15 team with my guards. And if I bring this guy in now, like I talked both these young men into coming back to school, to not entering the draft, to not transferring. And if I were to now in late July bring in somebody that's going to definitely start in front of one of them, I wouldn't feel comfortable with that. It would also kill my locker room because my two guards are my two leaders. And if I bring a new person in that takes their spot so late in this calendar, they'll be disgruntled. They're the leader. I lose the whole locker room. It'd just be bad. I can't do it. So coaches are aware that this can cause problems and have steered clear of it in cases that I know. That's a real story that I just told you. I would love to coach this player. I think he would, in theory, make our team more talented. Mm-hmm. But if I bring him in this late, after everything I've told these other players about what their roles are going to be, I got a real problem in my locker room. How do you not have a problem in the UCLA locker room today? You have to. It happened to a friend of mine's son who plays baseball. And it's why if I were a high school, any athlete, unless I'm like 5-star McDonald's All-American level dude in whatever sport I'm playing, I might not look at the high major level right now. We talked about it last week. There was a top 75 basketball player in his high school class who's going to Louisiana Lafayette because he doesn't want to go to a high major and play behind 22-year-old transfers. So I got a buddy, grew up with, his son's a baseball player, really good. Graduates high school and commits to like a high major program. Mm-hmm. Let's just keep it vague. Commits to a high major program. Now keep in mind, I don't know anything about this. I don't follow college baseball. But commits to a high major program. He plays a certain position where the person who's playing that position at the program now is going to enter the Major League Baseball draft. He's gone. And in theory, like you start looking at who's on the roster now, who's leaving, and the signing class, who's coming, that should be my starting spot as a freshman. Yeah. I should be starting at this position. So he committed, signed, moved to campus, got enrolled. You know what they did? Brought in a mid-major transfer, 22 years old, who hit, 20, whatever. And it's just like, well, I'm 18. I can't play against this guy, over this guy at least. So he's sitting on the bench. That's rough, man.
Yeah.
That's not something that used to happen. You couldn't bring in people this late, transfers, and get them cleared, or if it was very rare. It's not something that used to happen regularly. And now it's happening all over the country, and it's happening at UCLA too. So, we'll get a better structure to all of college athletics someday. But right now, this is the world we're living in. And though I am happy that players now have freedom of movement and the ability to make real money, this part of it, the part I'm explaining right now, is an unfortunate byproduct of the system in place.
The Gary Parrish Show, live weekdays at 10 a.m.